Hi guys. In case you just happened to stumble on my video, or you've been following me along, or it just popped up on your For You page, my name is Michelle and I have breast cancer. I was diagnosed back in July, and I've been sharing my journey on TikTok, on YouTube, and recently on Instagram. I'm going to put links for everything in the comments. And now we're at the point where I had to have a port implanted yesterday for my upcoming chemo treatments. As you can see, I have some scarring here, some incisions that are here. The port itself is here. It's about yay big, maybe like a quarter of an inch or so there. And then there's a catheter that goes up and around through a vein, so that the medicine, so that they don't have to poke me every time. They don't have to look for a vein every time. They just use the port. The chemo and the other medicines are going to be all intravenous, so everything will go right in through this port, and it goes right directly into my bloodstream. It's a little bit of discomfort in the beginning, but for much more comfort in the long run. But so it wasn't that big of a procedure. It didn't take that long. I got there about 11. And my scheduled time was for noon, but they took me in earlier than that, and I was actually out and done. I was in the car by 12:45. So by 12:45, I was done on my way home. And it was, it was usual intake procedures of everything, when you go into any sort of surgery or a procedure or anything like that. Usual questionnaires. Are you pregnant? What have you eaten or drank? Are you on any medications? Do you have any allergies? Then they verify 400 times your name and your date of birth, and just to verify. And what are we doing for you today? And, all these things. So, a couple of interesting things. So the IV, the last time when I had the lumpectomy back on September 5th, again, you're not allowed to eat or drink from the night before. So I had stopped eating around, I don't know, 7, 8, something like that. And when I went in for the lumpectomy, I didn't have anything else to drink after that point either. So by the time we were in the hospital on Friday, and they were starting to try and get the IV, and they couldn't find a vein. There was just nothing. I was so dehydrated, and I couldn't drink anything that day, and it was probably 1 o'clock by the time they were trying to put the IV in. So I was now at that point about 12 hours without water, without anything to drink. So they blew out a couple of veins, had to bring in somebody with a sonogram so they could find a vein that way and get in. And they just went, once they did the sonogram, they went right in. So it was beautiful. So, lesson learned, procedure was yesterday on Wednesday. On Tuesday night, at about 11:30 at night, I had almost a half a gallon of water. Like, we're going to try and prevent that dehydration thing from happening. So now, Wednesday, when I had the procedure, I told the nurse, I told the person that was going to be doing the IV, which actually was the anesthesiologist himself. I said, just so you know, the last time that I had to do an IV, they really couldn't find it. They had to bring in the sonogram, but I was kind of dehydrated. So the nurse assured me, she said, don't worry, he's the best at this. I'm like, but I've heard that before. People going to draw blood, whatever it is. If you're dehydrated and you don't have veins, I don't care how good you are, you can't find it. Well, lo and behold, pop right in, got it right in the wrist. I mean, the top of your hand, like that place. No problems whatsoever. One and done, right in, all good. If you've been following my videos, you might remember that from the lumpectomy, from that surgery, I had a bruise on the top of my hand and a bruise on my arm, my forearm. It actually was there for at least 2 weeks. It really stuck around. But this yesterday was fine. Went right in, no problem. So then, let's see what else. So then they also did a pregnancy test, which they always ask women, are you pregnant? Is there any chance you could be pregnant? And my answer is no and no. But because I am 52, I am in the middle of perimenopause, I am not regular. So my last period was months ago. And because it was months ago, they can't assume that it's not me being pregnant. I can assume it's not me being pregnant because I certainly know that that's not even possible. But so I have to do a pregnancy test. Lo and behold, it's negative. Of course it is, because I'm not pregnant. Then Oh my gosh, I keep losing my train of thought today. I'm just a little tired. I didn't really sleep very well last night because of this thing, because of everything really. So, I they when we left yesterday, I was told only take Tylenol, no ibuprofen. But I sometimes have trouble sleeping in general, so I have Advil PM on hand. But I'm like, I can't take the Advil PM because it's ibuprofen. So I took Tylenol, but it didn't really help me sleep. Oh, there's my kitty in the background. That's Eddie Ann. Say hi. um, I tried to sleep at first on my back, couldn't sleep on my back. I thought, well, because this is on my left side, let me sleep on my right side, but that was so uncomfortable. I guess maybe everything was pushing down. I'm not really sure why, but it was incredibly uncomfortable. Let's take a chance. Let me roll over to my left. I went to my left. Finally, was more comfortable than on the right side. So I slept on that side for most of the night. But then I wound up having to move, and it was not a good night's sleep. So I'm a bit tired today. And I'm also sore. Like, this is really quite tender. Like, I can feel, of course I can, because there's something in there, but it's just really quite tender. I did take some Tylenol early today. I got the clearance to take Advil PM, to take ibuprofen today. So I took some Advil PM a little while ago. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's kicking in. I don't know. Sorry. But anyway, so hopefully I will sleep tonight. That would be great. So that was that. I don't think I had anything else to talk about with that. Like I said, it was a pretty straightforward, simple procedure. Hopefully in theory, once this heals, I really shouldn't have much of, maybe little scars for both of them, but not too much, I don't think. And so speaking about scars, so the incisions that I had from the actual lumpectomy themselves, they are healing quite nicely. They're still visible. There is still a little bit of a little bit of scabbing that's there, but they're not bad. I do have some what's called seromas, which I've only recently learned this. That is a collection of fluid that builds up inside the body. And I do have some of those. One on the left side, which is not bad. It's actually going down. And at least two on the right, which is where the majority of the work was done. It's where my lymph node was removed. So I have these bumps that are under there. And they are kind of going down, but they're still there a little bit. I go back to the not the breast surgeon. I go back to the plastic surgeon on Monday, and I'm going to bring all this up on Monday. We'll have to see how things are going at that point. But at some point, if they stick around or if they're really bothering me, we can release them. I forget what the word is, but we can aspirate. That's what it is. Go in with a needle and relieve the pressure of the fluid. So to actually draw the fluid out. In addition to that, I do also have on my right side what is, I believe, a stitch that has actually popped out of one of the incisions. I think it was an internal stitch because I didn't really have any stitches on the outside. I had one spot there was stitches, which is the lump where the lymph node was removed, but those stitches were removed a couple weeks ago. This is like a stitch that's just kind of sticking out, and it's about a ½ inch almost. So that I'm also going to talk to the doctor about on Monday. I did speak to the breast surgeon about the nurse at the breast surgeon's office the other day, and she said if it's not bothering you too much, just wait, talk to the plastic surgeon, and then we'll take it from there. We'll see what needs to be done. I think it might just need to be either pulled out or snipped. I'm not really sure what needs to be done with that, but so that is the update on all of that, and I think that is pretty much it for today. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Like I said, I'm a little tired, kind of a little out of it today too. I don't know. I'm just some of this, it's all kind of getting to me. A lot of this, I'm up and down. Some days I feel good, some days I feel achy. Like today, this is pretty achy. I do still have a little bit of tenderness in the breast from where everything else happened. I also have a couple of other physical issues from prior to this whole breast cancer thing. So all that's just kind of tied in together, makes it a little bit tricky sometimes for me. But we're going to get there. We're going to get there day by day. Oh no, I think I talked about that the other day. Yes, my EKG has moved up. That's going to be Saturday. That was the other day. Okay, so we're good. And I think that's it. Thanks, guys. Bye.